Did I test that already? I don't think I did.
You did not, but you can anyway.
I shouldn't play the intro song until we started the intro. So.
Until we started the intro. We're not quite there yet. Oh wait. Did we want to go over the playlist again? We made this mistake last time.
Oh yeah, we probably should. I need elevator music. We'll find some elevator music for next time.
I could just put something in the background on Spotify, and then I can mute our OBS thing. All right. So what elevator music? Let's see.
Dude, music. Up and down agains.
There's actually a playlist on here called Elevator Music.
Of course. I got your Discover Weekly. Perfect.
Oh, this is perfect. Perfect. All right, everyone gets to listen to this while we do our thing. One sec.
Stop that.
All right, and we are back. Thanks for hanging out. Anyone who's here, let me go ahead and stop this elevator music. Boom. Cool.
I enjoyed the elevator music.
That was actually the most accurate song I've ever found when trying to search for a song, when just typing in something simple. That was it. That was the right song we needed for the time.
Sometimes, you don't need a bunch of algorithms. You just give me elevator music. That's all I need.
Exactly. All right. So we went over the playlist, so we're good there. I think we're ready just to go ahead and start the show. Yeah.
You wanna start the show?
I think we should. I think we're good, unless there's anything else you want to do or need to do.
Well, okay. So we can start the show.
All right.
The funny thing about starting the show with the intro music is you get to see my eyebrows move up and down as it goes. Normally we don't play the intro song, but this time we are. Yes. So usually it gets edited in post, but this right now is not in post.
Nope, it is live, as they say.
We'll do it live.
I'll do it live.
Yeah. So I guess let's jump right to that. So news, anyone watching right now, this is a live stream of the Metallurgy podcast. So yeah, audible gasp, insert gasp here. So yes. We talked about this a little bit, how it's really fun for us to see each other and, see each other's reactions. And you can only capture so much with a photo or a screen capture in my case, where I just screenshot, some of our faces. But So we're going to be doing this live now. So we'll be streaming it on Twitch, which is where we are right now. And then we'll also put video on demand on YouTube. So if anyone wants to tune in, we record every other Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time until Daylight Savings Time kicks in again. And yeah, we'll still always have the podcast as audio only. So if you're subscribed on insert your favorite podcast player here, you'll still get that. But if you want to see our smiling faces, sometimes frowny faces, sometimes angry metal faces, yeah, that's the one. That's the angry metal face. Well, that's one of them, right?
That's one of them.
But you can tune in. So we are Metallurgy Podcast on Twitch and Metallurgy Podcast on YouTube as well. So I'll include links to our new places in the show notes for those listening on audio. But come on over, hang out, chat with us. I think it'll be great to have another, way to interface with people live as the show's going on. Get that Insta feedback.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of funny that we decided to do this at this particular time because I was just going through the Metallurgy Gmail the other day, and lo and behold, we got an email from someone who is procuring us to, or trying to convince us that we should probably live stream the podcast. So I just thought that was really funny timing wise.
Yeah, it was one of the requests I got early on from listeners, which was, hey, you guys should, live stream it, put it on YouTube. I was like, man, but then video, like, we all know the hassles of getting, on a video meeting. Like, sometimes I don't even put pants on. Like, I don't want to put pants on for the podcast. Before it was okay because it was just you and me, It was, we're on that level, right? Like we got this.
Yeah, when you become when you're friends with someone for a certain amount of time, then that threshold is more or less breached, and it's all good, man.
Also, let the record show, I am wearing pants.
Oh, he is wearing pants. Okay. Woof.
There are pants. Yes.
Oh, good stuff.
So, songs stuck in your head. I always forget whose turn it is to go first.
I forget. You can go first.
Okay. Flip a coin. Adam's turn.
All right.
So, how did this song first get stuck in my head? That's a great question. This dovetails into something that we'll talk about in a little bit, but the song stuck in my head this week is by the band Tesseract. And the song is King off their latest album from 2018. So it's a little bit old now, but it's called King. And there's this section of the song, and I know Tesseract is really good at this in terms of like how they put their songs together and how they're very into the art of constructing a song and how melodies play together and timing and, build up and, breakdowns and all the good things, all the things that you'd expect.
Yes.
But in King, after 2 minutes, there's some really nice vocal harmonies going on, and then it goes into the breakdown with one of the like rare occurrences of like the screaming. And I just have to say that the syncopation, the way they accentuated this, and the way that the bass is toned, like everything about this section of this song right here hits me so hard. And good thing this is live because people will at least be able to get to see my headbanging reaction when you play this. But dude, this gets me every time. It's just building. It's just getting there. It's gonna hit though.
Oh man. Yeah, definitely agree. That kick with the bass tone. That scream almost reminds me of an early Chester Bennington, like early Linkin Park days. That sounds so rad.
So, yes, I do love the mix there, but like you said, the bass, and I did a lot of digging on this band, as it turns out, because I listened to their discography, and I was like, okay, I kind of want to know more about this band. Um, so then when I did that, oh man, I got lost in the weeds. I got lost in the weeds of the metal archives and the Wikipedias and the YouTube videos and the playthroughs and the rig teardowns. Like I went down the rabbit hole.
Dang.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I don't know if this is something you experience, but do you ever listen to a song or hear a sound that kind of like makes your hairs like stand up or like gives you like chills, like visible chills?
Are we talking about like a singular tone or a like combination of tones?
Let's say, okay, not like I'm not looking for the brown sound or anything like that, right? A particular set of like an arrangement, let's say.
So I guess you could almost say, so this is more or less like you can say like a song would fill this, right? That definition.
I guess for me, it boils down to, like bits and pieces, like certain sections of songs. I don't think I get tingles like the entire song. I'm not like just sitting there shaking the whole time.
Right. Yep. Yeah. But definitely like, okay, so we're talking about like small sections of a song.
For me, that's what it is. I don't know what it is for you.
Okay. I can get on board with that definition. And I can certainly say there is a certain combination of instrumentation and tempo and the way something's being played. And the combinations can be different, but when that combination is just right, it definitely makes, the hair on my arm stand up.
Yeah. So this song in particular did that for me. And that section, right? Like the first time I heard it, I was kind of like, whoa, what was that? And then you go back and listen to it again, like, dang, it's just the right thing for me. And I'm going to say something. No, I'll abstain from saying it because, this is not.
Oh, come on! You teased it now.
No, I can't do it.
All right.
That'll be yours and my secret for the post show.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so we'll move over to the song "Stuck in My Head." This actually has been stuck in my head since the last time we recorded because while I was waiting for you to do something, I think go get a drink or something, I was just playing music on Spotify. And a band came in my feed that I hadn't seen in a while. And the band is Cain's Offering. This is a side project of the vocalist from Stradivarius and the original guitarist of Sonata Arctica. And when they first started this band like 10 years ago or so, I was just like, yes, this is going to be like the perfect band. And they made one album and then like nothing until 2015. I found out, apparently. I only found out about this the last time we recorded. I was like, what? So I decided to take a listen, and it does not disappoint, and especially right on the first track, which is called Storm Crow. It just, again, right off the bat kind of kicks you in the face. Right there it is. This is that combination we're talking about right there.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's the one.
So yeah, as soon as I heard this, like I said, just gave me that feeling of like, hair standing on your arms or your neck, and I was immediately sold.
How did it take you 5 years to find it?
They just kind of fell off my radar because I think shortly after they released their first album, I think within like a few years, my wife and I moved to Wisconsin. It's where I joined a black metal band, and I started going down a deep black metal rabbit hole. So it just hadn't been on my radar until a couple of weeks ago.
The genre rabbit hole, right? You're just like, I'm really there's some that you can come out of, right? But I'm glad that you didn't get stuck on the doom metal one. I know, like last week, right? We were talking about that.
I'm trying to keep a healthy balance of things. This past week I've been listening to tons of music, not just metal, like a lot of other stuff. So I am trying to branch out my roots a little bit to not get stuck into a genre rabbit hole.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there are some, like I said, that where they're 30-minute songs, it's hard to get out of.
Yeah. but I like it there.
Okay. Boring talk right now. Do you ever listen to podcasts to fall asleep or music to fall asleep?
Music to fall asleep, yes. Podcasts, no.
Okay. So podcasts I listen to fall asleep. This is really bad. They're all like tech podcasts, right? But they're like the really boring security ones. And there's this one guy, and his name's Steve Gibson, and he does this. He's really, really like, he's been in the business a long time. He writes some really amazing software for hard drive recovery and a bunch of like security conscious software. But that guy, when he talks about Microsoft vulnerabilities, oh man, I'm out like a light. It's fantastic. Like, it's perfect for me to fall asleep to. This guy just starts talking and talks about some 0 days, some memory buffer overflows, and I'm like, yep.
Are there reviews on this podcast of people saying like, hey, 5 stars if you want to fall asleep, this is your podcast?
If there are, I wrote them. But so I feel like, the doom metal playlist thing, I'm like, is there metal music you could fall asleep to? Because the one thing I'm worried about, right, is if you turn on something like that where then you do get the heavy breakdown, like, I don't want to get rocked out of sleep, right? Like, I don't want that to happen. But I mean, after a 30-minute song, I feel like I could fall asleep in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it depends like on, the sorts of dynamic changes that happen within it. Because like I'm trying to think of like metal specific. One band that kind of comes to mind for this really kind of, I guess, like droney atmospheric stuff would be Sun O. And it's like O with 3 closed parentheses after it. It's kind of a weird name. They're really slow and have kind of like a doomy metal sound to it. That's kind of like the closest thing, I think. There might be others.
There may be. Well, yeah, look at that. 3 parentheses.
Yeah.
Well, 4 songs. Hold on.
But they might be long.
10 minutes.
They're only 10 minutes?
Yeah, what kind of garbage is this? I thought you were going to set me up for something.
Okay, I was trying to keep it metal though too. So like I did like a few months back show you that one like atmospheric droney band, but it's like all kind of synth based. They've got super long songs, but they have like a metal image, but it's called Hiemal, Hiemal.
Okay. So where I was going with this whole thing with falling asleep is we talked about doom metal and we never clarified the units of measure for doom metal.
Oh yeah.
So I put a proposal up to the committee for standardizing units of measure. Right? What's that? There's a specific organization for it, and I forget the acronym.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forget the acronym too.
Yeah. When you take auto shop class or drafting class, it's like they tell you all these things, and they're on a test once, and you never remember them ever again unless you have to actually like certify something with them. So the proposal I have for the doom metal measures of or units of time, right? So measuring time in doom metal increments. So we have a doom metal song, which I estimate to be about 44 1/3 minutes.
Oh my gosh. How did you come up with that number?
The way I took it is like, okay, a standard metal song is 3.5 minutes, right? But they're always pushing it to the next level, so that's 4. But then you got to multiply that times 11 because 10 isn't good enough, right? So 4 minutes times 11, and then you throw in a third because something about triplets. I don't know.
Okay, that's some logic. Okay.
That's why this is the draft proposal. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
this
not
is the
finalized.
proposal. This isn't passed yet.
That's my proposal for the lowest unit of measure in a doom metal song. So the lowest you can measure one doom metal song, which is 44 1/3 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So then after that we have doom metal album, which I estimate to be 10.25 hours.
All right. How did you come up with that number?
So this one, I figured, okay, a standard album has how many songs on it, right? It's 10 songs, right?
Yeah.
But you don't release just one disc of, the album, like you got to do a 2-disc, or you got to do an ultimate deluxe set edition, right, with the instrumental tracks that mixed in there as well. Especially since we're saying, you know, all bands need to include all of their tracks as instrumental tracks as well. So I took, you know, the song, multiplied it by 10, and then added another disc, basically another set, which brought me roughly, I think, to 10, right? I think that's how I get there.
That's sure, if that's what makes sense in your head. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I'm making all this stuff on the fly. I hope you know that, right? Like,
yeah, I do know that. And I'm putting you on the spot just to see how you can do.
So a doom metal album, 10 and a quarter hours.
Okay.
That's a fair estimate there, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So then we have a doom metal artist discography, right? So this would be a doom metal artist in their entire album catalog, right? Okay, so I estimate this being 6.666 months.
All right, the logic makes sense there. We don't need to.
Yeah, so we got that one. That one makes sense. So for a discography, you're talking about half a year, plus the number of the beast.
Yes.
And then for a doom metal playlist, you're looking at least 1.5 years.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
1.5 years was just because I was like, you know what, I'm tired of thinking of witty numbers, so I'll just put 1.5.
1.5. No, that is great. I love the idea of measuring things in units of doom metal.
All right, so do we have any revisions to the draft? I mean, are there any edits or changes you want to make here?
No, man. I think that's totally right. I think we can keep that, unless anyone else has objections, but doesn't look like we do.
Ratified. Where's that? Nice. Where's the sound for a success horn? I don't have any sounds for that. All I have are.
Oof. Yep. That didn't sound like a successful tone.
A success one? Here. Did that one?
Something.
There we go. So, doom metal, units of measure. Done off the plate. Yes. I mentioned that Tesseract kind of dug me down this rabbit hole where I spent approximately one doom metal song's worth of research wow. on this band, right? Nice. And I think we talked about YouTube, where my favorite band, August Burns Red, has been doing a really good job with their quarantine game. And kind of releasing, you know, playthroughs and interviews and things like that. And I think a lot of other bands are kind of like taking to that as well. So this is where I ran into the good and the bad of quarantine metal videos, right? So people getting these videos together. So the good was Tesseract, because they have, I mean, their vocalist is doing some, you know, some playthroughs. Their bassist has like a ton of stuff up on his, where he's actually like really into, you know, the production, and he has this like his own company, 4D Sounds, and he's also like into like the video editing and stuff like that. So this guy's like got a lot of stuff going on. Super
like
interesting.
I could be friends with this guy.
Yeah, dude, like you'd really enjoy this. I'm gonna send you a link after this, because Amos.
Okay.
Oh boy, he was talking about his pedal breakdown, right? And the pedals that he uses, and how he's like using compressors on compressors. And like, why are you doing that? You're so stupid. He's like, no. He's like, I'm compressing the low end on this one, or he's like, I'm passing through the low end, so you get the really nice chunky bass tone. It's like, but the highs I want to be distorted, right? So he's like using he's a master of the signal chain. He's awesome. It's pretty freaking awesome. So that's the good. That's the really good. Then there's the bad, and someone sent me a link to this, and I'm going to play a little bit for you, but Metallica did a quarantine video.
Oh boy.
And I say this is bad because they chose to redo Blackened.
Oh,
and Justice for All. Yeah. Oh no is right, because once you hear it, it's going to really be oh no. I was so sad, man. So incredibly disappointed after I heard this song, because they acoustified it.
Oh, I can already know how this is going to sound.
But then the other thing is Kurt has to go and be himself doing weird things in front of the camera.
Oh boy.
it's
Like in New Zealand, winter report sand, throwing all you see, tube skirt
so
I think it's hard for us because we know what the original sounds like and we love the original so much. Like if we had heard this just on its own this way, like it would be hard for me to say like it's a terrible song. Like it's a decent arrangement, but it's like not as good as the original.
this sucks.
Well, there it is. Adam speaks his mind. I try to be the devil's advocate sometimes, but guess not. Guess I didn't win this round.
This sucks. This objectively
This sucks. Oh,
I hate all of what they did there. Nothing that they did was good. Okay, so I will take a step back, right? I do not like this. I think this is horrible. And yes, part of that is because this is one of my favorite Metallica songs. And why you got to go and ruin a bad thing? Why couldn't you take Master of Puppets, right? Like overplayed. Just go ahead and redo that one. It's been done 5 million times. And it's like, don't stop it. No.
Stop.
Stop.
Sometimes less is more.
Well, no, that's what they tried to do. They tried to lessify it, but they should have went further.
They should have been further and had not done it to begin with.
Acoustified and lessified, but not enough. They should have just stopped.
Man.
Quit while you're behind.
Oof. Oh, that's good.
All right, man. So main topic tonight. I guess I kind of want to get this part out of the way first, that these are unprecedented times, right? This is something that, you know, we were already kind of thrown for a whirlwind in 2020. But I think that's given people a lot of time to actually like focus in on the things that really matter, right? And right now, right, with protests going around and the killing of, you know, George Floyd, like Black Lives Matter, and it's something that needs to be talked about, right? So I want to take, you know, this next couple of minutes here to let you say anything you want to say before we continue on to our main topic for the night. But I can say for myself, it's one of the things where, because of, you know, how I was raised, where I was born, you know, the color of my skin, right? It's been easy for me to, I don't want to say distance myself, but in a sense, you know, distance myself from this. I've never known a lot of things. It's hard to relate. It's hard to empathize with a lot of the struggles that other people face every single day. And there's been a lot of things that have come across that have been really inspiring in terms of, you know, again, I'm an avid podcast listener, so there's tons of podcasts out there. NPR has some great ones. TED has some great ones out there where it's, you're hearing from the people that this affects day to day and how the things that you take for granted, you know, because of your privilege, right? Where you're not conscious of it most of the time, but you are privileged to never have to, you know, worry about these things. And I think now is kind of like the perfect time for people to really hone and focus, you know, that energy to say like, hey, you know, it's not all lives matter. It's not this, it's Black Lives Matter, right? No one should be treated lesser because of something as superficial as, you know, the color of your skin, right? You shouldn't have to be afraid to, you know, go to the grocery store or, you know, walk outside. And like I said, there were a lot of really good even posts that get you to check your privilege as well, right? Like in just terms of how you think, right? How you prioritize, right? Everyone focusing on like the protests and looting that are happening right now. And everyone's focusing on the looting. It's like, guys, are you not realizing that the thing that we should be protesting is the fact that, you know, cops killed an innocent person, innocent Black man? Like, and then there's all the ones that aren't heard as well, right? So I don't want to stand on the soapbox too long because, again, I I think I have a lot to learn from others in this arena, right? Like I'd love to hear from other people. But for me, it's been a time to really reflect and listen to others. And I think this is a great time to listen, right? To listen and participate and make your voice heard and take action, right? So made some donations, right? And if your company matches donations as well, like that's a great time to, give to the people that need it. That's all I'm going to say.
Cool. Yeah, I completely agree with that. This week, I've definitely grown a lot. I've been doing things a lot differently. I've really been thinking a lot about other people and other people's situations, and to kind of echo you a little bit, like growing up, like I never really thought of it that way. Like I always thought that what I experienced was my sort of reality, and that was the same for everyone else. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at trying to empathize with other people and other situations, and just everything that has happened this past week, it's gotten me more motivated to get out and really take action and help others where I can. So I've donated to organizations that I've come across that, when I could. I'm getting together some wood burning projects to collaborate with, an artist to help get those messages out about, all of this injustice that's happening and that it needs to change. It's good to see that there are people even all over the world who are, hearing this and showing their support, which is amazing. I think it's still going to take a lot of work for any real change to happen. And all I can say is if you're kind of in this spot where you're not sure what to do, you can find an organization to donate to, check with some local groups or organizations where you can volunteer. Any little thing can help. If you don't have money to donate, but have a skill, do some sort of charity work utilizing that skill, like anything you can do to help. Any skill you have, like it's going to be useful. You just have to find a way to do it. But it's definitely, all of this has given me a lot of time to just kind of listen. And I'm reading, tons more stories about other people and the institutions and how messed up this whole situation is. And all beyond that, if you can't donate or you don't have the time to do any type of charity work, take 10 minutes out of your day to read something useful, someone's experience with this injustice that's happening, a book, article, whatever. Just educate yourself. I think that's probably the best way we're going to be able to make this change happen, is to rewire the way people think. And you can only do that through education.
I'm going to take a little quote from just one of the videos that I saw where they say, systemic racism has been in place, for long time in this country, right? But it's something that's not inherited, right? There's no gene for this. There's no predisposition for this, right? It's something you're all taught, right? And if you can teach it, you can unteach it, right? So, and for me, having kids, it's something where it's especially important for us to, instill in them, like, hey, we've never, ever like instilled anything that would, give them any type of, I'm trying like to avoid saying all these things, right? Like, I don't want to say because I don't want them to even think that way, right? Like, it's hard to come up with words to describe something that you don't want to exist, right? Where it's like, you don't want this to even have to be a thing, but it's important to talk about it, right? And know that, hey, historically, this is a thing. This is something that happens. And if you see it, it's not okay. And, everyone deserves the same treatment no matter what, right? So, yeah.
All right, so leading into our topic, I think,
Yes.
because of all of this, do you want to introduce it or do you want me to?
No, you can do it. Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. So, in light of recent events, this had definitely got me fired up and thinking about. Obviously, there's tons of metal music out there that's, talking about uprising or fighting the power or tearing down systems. I think that's like a very, very common theme among most metal bands. So I think we're going to take, I think we got 5 each this time, so we can still kind of do a zipper. Just one person is at the end, one at the top. So if you want, you can go ahead and kick it off.
Okay. So when it comes to something, like the situation that we're in, there's always, the go-to angry music that you have, but there's also the go-to angry music that really like speaks a message, right? And Rage Against the Machine is a band for me that really stands out because their lyrics are very much kind of like refrains, right? They're repetitions. It's almost meant to get the message out, right? To get the message to stick, right? You're listening to music, but you're also learning or educating that, hey, this is what you should take away from this, right? I think they do a really good job of kind of emphasizing that. So the obvious winner for the Rage Against the Machine songs that I go to for this one is "Killing in the Name," and this song it's about what people are protesting, right? It's about systemic racism and unnecessary violence from oppression from authority figures. So right off, in the middle of the song, they get right to it, and I'll try not to hit too many of the refrains. I think I'd picked a timestamp that hopefully does it catch us towards the end, but it's a lot of repetition because they want you to get this point in your head, like this. It's not cool. Also, guitar tone, Tom Morello. Come on, man.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. I love how this builds up.
Yeah, right.
It's like the rising frustration,
Yeah. It definitely builds to that breaking point.
Very cool.
You cut me off right at the headbanging motion too. Like,
sorry. I know we can keep playing that one for a long time, but
yeah.
we can get carried away with that one. All right. So on my side of the zipper here, it was really hard to narrow down a set of songs that I wanted to feature here without going over bands that I've already featured. So I think I limited this to like 2 bands that I've featured before. So one of the bands that I know we featured before is Arch Enemy, and they have a classic album titled Anthems of Rebellion. And when I first thought of doing this topic for this episode, this was the first album I knew to go to pick a song from. So I think the obvious choice on this one is the song "We Will Rise." And again, it's one of those songs that just like kicks you in the face right at the beginning. So let's take a listen here. Totally remember this from the Headbangers Ball CD.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Get out of my head, dude.
Yes. Same wavelength.
Wavelength. So yes, classic song. Got a killer solo later on in the song too. So we gotta wait for this little tom groove section.
Yes, all of it.
Good.
Yep.
Oh, Headbangers Ball. That's really funny that both of our minds went there.
Oh yeah. That deluxe Roadrunner. Oh no, the MTV Headbangers Ball 2-disc set. It's where I discovered Meshuggah,
Yep.
Devil
Meshuggah,
Driver,
Devil Driver.
Arch Enemy, Mastodon.
Yeah, Mastodon. I think we discovered Lamb of God right before that came out. Maybe.
Yes, I don't know if they were that one.
Yeah, yeah, they were. They had Ruin on there. It was on the first disc. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so back in my day when they used to play on the MTV, they played
music.
They only played the metal music on the Headbangers Ball.
Oh my gosh, that was too good.
So, on my side of the fence or zipper, whatever you want to call it, going through same thing. Yeah, you don't want to feature a bunch of bands that you've already featured, but when it comes to mine, right, the ones that I knew about, it's hard for me, I guess, to find ones that weren't just angry, right, but we were like focused angry, if that makes sense, right? You're angry about something, right? So there's a band called Affiance, which is very much a metalcore type of band. Almost sounds like one of the band names we tried to come up with. I think like
it does look similar. The thing, when I see that name, I just think of there's like a t-shirt company or Affliction, right? Something like that. There's like a clothing line.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, I know it's gross, but when I see that word, that's what I think of, because it's like similar letters.
It's only got 3 of the same letters, man.
Yeah, I know, but I'm telling you, man, German has really messed up my English, bro. I'm telling you.
So Affiance has this song called Righteous Kill. And it's very much akin to your uprising against, fighting a larger power and then coming out on top. So I think that's, facing with, today's circumstances, that's what needs to happen, right? The little people need to win. And I'm not saying little as in, I'm saying like the people that aren't in political power, right? They need to.
So like the minority.
Yeah, but like
the minority in general, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not trying to
I know what you're getting at, man.
Okay.
Words are hard, man. Words are hard.
Yeah,
We'll take a listen here.
I was gonna say play the track.
Definitely has that classic metalcore feel.
Yeah, man. You get a little bit of lead in there, clean singing. I know you said this guy's trying a little bit too hard to be like other metalcore singers, but
yeah. What is that saying? Like, imitation is like the kind of
form of
flattery or something. I think tone-wise, like everything sounds pretty good. Like the guitars and the bass and the drums and all that. That sounds pretty good. It's mixed real well.
Yeah. Like it's a pretty good band. I mean, for only releasing, I think, like 3 albums, like they did a pretty good job. They had a good run, especially for metalcore, man. 3 albums, that's like a lifetime.
Yeah, right. Oh, good stuff. All right, back over to my side here. One band that I have been listening to on repeat for pretty much all their discography this entire week has been Body Count. If you don't know Body Count, this is Ice-T's metal band that he has. Did you not know about this?
Oh, what?
Oh
really?
My gosh,
this is amazing.
Oh my gosh, how I thought you knew. That's why I didn't make a big deal about it before. Yes. Yeah, so their first album came out in 1992, and there's one song on that album that it's called Cop Killer, and it's so like they're saying offensive that it's not even on like most streaming platforms. It's not on Spotify. But he, the way he does his rap, he does it in metal too. He just tells it how it is, and he's not afraid to hold back, and that's what I love about Ice-T. He doesn't hold back. They just released an album, I think last year, called Carnivore. This album is super, super heavy. I was really impressed. Just like mixing wise, it sounds amazing. The riffs are super awesome. And if you come at this from a kind of non-metal perspective, if you're paying more attention to the vocals and the lyrics and what they're actually saying, which is something I don't always do, but I'm changing that now. He's got a really good message in a lot of this stuff. Some of it's funny, some of it's serious, some of it's, talking crap about people, which I think all of that is great.
Diss tracks, man.
Yeah, diss tracks. So they have a really, really popular song off of this album called Bum Rush. And if you read the lyrics, it's a lot of empowering kind of stuff, kind of showing or telling people like, hey, we're all fighting each other, but why are we fighting each other? There's this whole system that's pitting us against each other. We need to break down that system, and the only way we can do it is bum rush it. So right at the very beginning, it kicks in with this really cool drum beat, and then their instruments come in after that. All right.
I had to abstain from my rap catalog for this episode. Yeah, man, it's the thing that I appreciated, like one of the reasons I got into like kind of like rap, right? I know this is a metal podcast, but here, side channel here, it's a lot of vocals. It's a lot of words, right? And I know German is really messed up your English, but right, there's a lot of stuff coming at you, and the lyrics are, like you said, about just everyday life, right? And it's very much a reflection of how things are, right?
Yep.
And a shameless plug here. Run the Jewels just came out with their latest album like a couple days ago, and Run the Jewels is Killer Mike and LP, and oh dude, that album slaps, as the kids would say.
That's funny.
But if you guys are into rap at all, Run the Jewels 4, listen.
Nice.
All right, so back over in my side here. I think another obvious choice when you come to like rising up or resisting is the band Sepultura, right? They have a song called Refuse Resist, and talk about lyrical content, talk about tone, talk about everything. Like this kind of encompasses like, don't, accept what's going on, right? Like fight for what's right, like resist of the authority figure trying to oppress you, stuff like that. So I don't think there's much more I have to say about that, but 45 seconds in, they, start picking up with the vocal tones.
Good old Max Cavalera.
That's right, man.
Really helped put Brazil on the map too, as far as like the metal scene goes.
I was gonna say Brazilian metal band, right? Like this is like the de facto.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard like really good covers by like 9-year-olds of this song too.
That's awesome. It's so awesome when kids cover metal songs.
Pretty sure there's that famous one that's out there, but it's like two kids, like one playing guitar and one playing drums, and then they're belting out Refuse Resist. Like
that's awesome.
That's right, kids. Get it.
They're gonna grow up to be good. Yep.
Cool, man. I think we're on your side again.
Yeah. All right. So the second band that I'm going to be featuring again here, that I featured in the past, is Gamma Ray. They are an interesting power metal band in that their lyrical content's kind of all over the place. Like most power metal tends to be kind of fantasy based or kind of fantasy concept based. But Gamma Ray has quite a few songs about, rebellion and, uprising and all of that. They do have one really cool song called Dethrone Tyranny. And again, just right off the bat, it just gets you. And even this like musical style too, like how they're doing it, almost reminds me of like Blind Guardian.
Yep.
Yeah, again, just kind of shows, it's talking a lot about like, you know, this oppressor, you know, peering into your life, controlling you, and trying to break free of that. So, awesome song. Go check it out whenever you get some time.
Yeah, man. A good point to mention that all of the songs that we mentioned are included on our Metallurgy Mentions and Metallurgy Archives
yes.
playlist. Right?
Yes, thank you for that
I'm on
plug.
Spotify and Apple Music, right? Links in the show notes. I think that's one of the cool things that that has come out of this project is like the Metallurgy Archives, right? Like that playlist is getting huge. Right?
Yeah,
That
I
has
just checked on it the other
lot of
day, and I think I forget how many hours we've we've broken already. I think we're pushing close to 40 hours, I think.
I know we passed the day mark a while back, but
Yeah.
holy smokes, man. Yeah, I think even mine, which I think isn't up to date yet. I think there's probably another like couple hours in there. We're at 1.2 days. So I think they're definitely up there. So
Nice.
it's nuts.
Yeah, dude. All right, how about for you on your side?
So another band that comes to mind when we're talking about like Uprising or overcoming whatever comes against you is God Forbid, right? And God Forbid, another one off the Headbangers Ball. I think they had a Headbangers Ball tour. I think
they did. Did they have Anti-Hero on the Headbangers Ball CD? I can't remember.
I don't remember now.
I feel like it might have been Anti-Hero because it came out around that time.
Maybe that was Headbangers Ball Volume 2, right? Because we're talking, yeah, we're talking.
We're the OG
Headbangers Ball. So God Forbid off their second album, which is I believe it's called Constitution of Treason. Is that what it's called, Mr. DJ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
is.
This whole album is kind of like structured out like articles of the Constitution in a way, right? Like each song kind of covers different articles. So they have a song title track, "Hey, Constitution of Treason," which just kind of gets at the treason being committed by all these people that are in authority in power essentially. So about 3 minutes in, I enjoyed everything that they're doing here.
Nice. That snare's doing some interesting stuff.
There's a snare.
Yeah. Really waking you up. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
That combination of like double bass and palm muted chugs, like I think that's another one of those things on the list of like things that make my hair stand up.
Palm muted chugs had me, right? Like the double bass is that's just over the top. That's just pushing me over the edge through the barrier.
Cranking it to 11.
Hey, that's the one.
That's the one. All right, coming back over to my side here. One band I didn't expect to choose, but that I've been trying to open myself up to a little bit more is Machine Head. We might have featured them like once or twice before. I can't remember. I don't think it would have been me though, because for whatever reason, a long time ago, I just didn't like Machine Head. I just didn't think they were all that they were cracked up to be. I thought their vocalist was kind of a arrogant dude, and I just wasn't having it. So I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with them.
He's your Tom Cruise, man. I get it, like.
Since then, though, like I would say in more recent years, he's come out and said things on social media that I tend to agree with. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll give your music another shot. I'll put my preconceived notions about you aside and try to look at this for just the music. And some of the early stuff is pretty good, I'll admit. I think they they don't stray too far away from their original kind of sound. I think I just tend to prefer the quality, like the production quality on their earlier stuff. So off of the album The Blackening, they have a really awesome track titled Clenching the Fists of Dissent. So naturally that's a good fit here. So it's a slow intro here. I totally forgot to jump to the timestamp. Give me a sec. There was
took a while to buffer, like the
there was some buffering going on, and I couldn't hear it. And I was just like, "Where are we? What's happening right now?" All right, give me a sec here. So it's about 1:40 in is when the song starts to pick up. There we go. Yes. I know. When I heard that riff, I was just like, "Oh,
okay." I see you. Do you feel noticed yet?
And the double bass, and we're.
Do you feel noticed, Machine Head?
Yep. And you can really feel like the power behind his vocals too. Like I think that's pretty cool.
So the first I ever experienced Machine Head's, lead vocalist, guitarist, right? Was on the Roadrunner United, right? We're talking a lot about MTV, some old school compilations here, but Roadrunner United, he was one of the quote unquote captains, right? That they brought together to bring a group of musicians all under the Roadrunner label to come together to make just songs, right? Hey, bring Howard Jones in, to record vocals on this song, right? And bring so-and-so in from Chimera to record drums on this song, right? Just bring in all these superstars just to come record one track with you. Bring in Jeff Waters from Annihilator and have him just do the solo on this one song. It's what? Dang. So from seeing him and his interactions, I can totally see how you'd be like, man, I'm not going to vibe with this dude. Right?
Yeah.
He and I would not get along. He's a bad boss. I don't think I don't think I want to work with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you step back again, right? And you listen, you're like, oh dang, this is pretty intense. This is pretty good. I actually like what's going on here. But Tom Cruise still makes great movies, but fuck Tom.
Yeah. Tom Cruise. I think you've got one more on your side, yeah?
Yeah, so this is kind of throwback to last episode, right? We had talked about kind of my groove metal hiccup or speed bump in my groove metal playlist, right? So Five Finger Death Punch had come on for me, and I was like, what is this stuff doing in groove metal? What's going on here? And I had casually mentioned oh yeah, Five Finger Death Punch used to be good, right? It used to be Moto Grader, and that was awesome, right? Man, we listened to that in high school, and how are they making those tones? How are they doing what they do? So I pulled up Moto Grader, and they have a song called Mutiny, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. So this is what FFDP, I don't even know if you're supposed to abbreviate their band name, but I just hate them so much saying it that I think they
don't deserve the energy that requires the full recitation of their name.
So FFDP, this is if they would have stuck with this form, and I'm not saying they as in the collective band, but I'm just saying you had what was working. You had a good formula. It just needed a little bit of chiseling, right? You can tell the mixes from back in the day, right? Where it was your first album, the first time you're getting in there, it's the first time you're getting mixed, by these people, and it's not the best quality mix, but Mutiny about a minute 25 in, right? You get kind of the back and forth chants. Of a chorus, right? And saying one of the most powerful words you can say, and I'm all for it. Audience in it. And then sprinkle in some clean like lead. Just go for it.
It's so funny. Like, I was telling you earlier, I've totally forgotten about this band. Have not listened to them since high school until tonight. And as soon as that chorus came on, I instantly, like, it brought me back to high school. It's like, I totally remember this. Like,
I know this song.
I know this song.
Oh, I know this song. I know it's been 3 Do Metal playlists, but I know this song. Is that how many? No, it's been like 5 Do Metal playlists.
Yeah, about that. Oh man, it's been way too long. Good band. I'll have to go back and listen to that album.
Just the one. And you gotta skip every other track because they did the whole CD thing, right? Where they did the like.
Yeah. Yep.
Digital music kind of, switched up that release method.
Yep. All right. So I think we just got one more on my side here. I was trying to think of other bands. I had also initially chosen Sepultura, Refuse, Resist. But I wanted to make sure that we've got an extra song for everyone on the playlist. So I did a little bit of digging. I think there's a lot of crossover as far as like themes and sounds with metal and hardcore punk. Like, they're very common. I mean, that's where we get, like hardcore metal and metalcore and all of those. Like, most of the core bands kind of stem from that hardcore branch, right? So I was looking at hardcore punk bands, and one that came up was Discharge. And they've got a song called Protest and Survive. So it really, at the beginning, just kind of digs in with this really heavy, chunky riff, and then goes into this sort of kind of chanting of Protest and Survive.
Reaching into my punk library wasn't something I knew I could do for this.
I figured with the topic, like, it's almost like given that like some punk influence is going to reach over because, come on, this is what punk's all about. And I think Anthrax even covered this song too.
That makes sense, Like,
yeah.
Come on. Anthrax has never had an original idea in their mind, in their entire
shoot. Shots fired on Anthrax. That sucks.
Let's see. I've already trashed Metallica, and now Anthrax.
All right, so we got to get Slayer and Megadeth in before the end of the show. Oh wait, there was a solo.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, hang on. We're gonna finish listening to that. 1 second. I didn't get that far into the song, so. This almost reminds me of Black Sabbath now.
Yeah, man, you're obligated to finish with a guitar solo, and I'm so glad we did, because this doesn't feel like punk anymore. This is great.
Oh wow. Nice. There we go.
Yeah. And like, I'm just thinking back into my punk library now. And I'm like, oh man, so many good bands.
Yep.
And Bad Religion could have gone into like Anti-Flag. Oh my gosh, like it could have gone so deep.
I know. I was trying to keep it as close to metal as possible, but still kind of reaching over into that punk side a little bit.
It's good, like I think that's a good call out to like kind of wrap this up, right? Like, is that there are like bits and pieces that you can find in metal that that deal with this kind of stuff. But I think metal overall is a very varied genre, right? It's a very kind of like all encompassing large genre, right? Like when you say punk, you can define what punk is pretty much to a T. At least I'd say you can define it to a smaller slice than you could say metal, right? When you say metal, we all know metal means like there's so much, right? Like, are you talking doom, black, like metalcore? Are you talking about death metal, black metal?
There's a lot of memes about this.
of course, right? Like there are tons of subgenres, right? But I think that's also a thing to call out, right, is like where punk, some of the foundations of their genre is based on fighting the system, right, or oppression, and talking about resistance and revolution, all these kind of things. And metal, it's very all encompassing, right? Like we've talked about the different kinds of like tones, right? We talked about the love songs in metal, and the fight songs in metal, and the overcome or the sad songs. Like we talked about all those kind of things. See previous episode. But I think that we've done a good job of highlighting this side of it, right? The rise up against those who are holding you down, right? Like, and you don't have to, be content with what they consider the status quo, right? So I think it's a good stopping point. It's good that you brought punk in to wrap it all up, because punk is very much, that's their core, right?
Yeah. I actually kind of like reached over like into the rap side too. I was like really spread out this one. I didn't really think about that too much.
I'm like, who are we this time? Like,
I don't know, man. But I still touched on like power metal, and I got some, death metal in there too. I was just like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. Hey man,
Sweet.
I just want to play the rap songs now. Like you got me all in the mood to play.
Oh well, wait till the after show. We've got some wrap up to do.
So again, because I went down the YouTube rabbit hole. If we want to jump to wrap up now, since I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I dug into Tesseract, Amos's like whole setup, his rig breakdown, I think as Guitar World calls it. He was talking about, his signal chain and how he runs through that. So in my quest to find the perfect metal tone this year, which is still on my list of things.
Oh, yes, it is.
I'm hoping you didn't forget, right? Because I didn't forget. So I've been trying to kind of look at just the signal chain and how I want to organize things. And it's been a while since I've looked at like signal chains for instruments, right? In terms of like effects pedals, I've been much more concerned about like the signal chain for like vocal effects. That's really all I've been messing with. So I want to ask you, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know this will go into a rabbit hole that will last forever. But tell me a little bit about your approach to signal chains, like kind of how you're going about it, right? Like where you're adding in EQ versus compression versus, I know you taught me all about side chaining and how to mix and where to put the limiters and things like that. But I'm curious if you can give me like your signal chains 101 introductory like spiel.
Yeah, this is going to be so hard to not go down a rabbit hole. Let's try and narrow down some parameters so I can keep it concise.
Okay.
So are we talking about instruments or are we talking about vocals?
I want to talk about instruments because vocals.
Instruments. Okay. So no vocals. So are we talking about drums or guitars?
Let's keep it focused to the thing that I want to accomplish this year.
Guitars.
So guitar.
Okay. So now are we talking about guitars that have already been recorded from an amp, or are we talking about the signal chain from your guitar all the way through to the end product?
Let's do signal chain all the way through to the end product, because let's say I have no amps, which is a true statement. I have no amps, so I'm going to be going all the way from just raw signal.
Okay, so like you're plugging in your guitar into like a DI box or your interface or something. Gotcha. Okay, so first things first, you need some sort of, if we're sticking with metal, we need some sort of amplifier that's going to distort the sound or change it somehow, right? Usually we're looking for distortion in metal. So you can think of, an amp head, right? That would go into then a guitar cab. You've got to do that virtually. So there are tons of plugins out there that will model one, the other, or both. So there's plugins that'll model, certain amp heads like a Mesa dual rectifier or a PV5150, something like that. There's tons of them out there. This area of music technology is flourishing right now. There's new amp simulations coming out every week, it seems like. The other thing, if you didn't have like your own interface, they do have kind of hardware units that do amp modeling, like the Fractal Audio Axe-Fx, which is what I have. I have version 2. So I do most of my signal chains in there, but we'll kind of stick away from that hardware stuff. So after the amp head, you want some sort of cabinet or cabinet simulation. That's accomplished by using some sort of plugin that will load what they call an impulse response, which is just a frequency response of a given speaker and microphone combination. So once you have that, that's more or less the meat and potatoes of your guitar tone. After that is then usually what I do is either I'll do like compression. I'll maybe do some gating before the compression. It just kind of depends on if there's any extra amp hiss that you don't really want there. So it'll go like after the amp, it'll go gate, compressor, then EQ to kind of cut or boost as needed. But I usually put the compressor before the EQ because if you make your EQ changes as you want and then you compress it, that's going to change the tone of the sound too. So you want to make sure that all your dynamics are taken care of before you actually start tone shaping. In my opinion, there's tons of schools of thought on that, but that's just me. After that, I sometimes put in some type of what they call like soft saturation. This can be achieved a number of ways. So it's basically doing what an amp head does as far as like distortion goes. Distortion is just like an extreme form of saturation. But what saturation does is it takes the incoming signal and adds extra harmonics in a certain pattern. But as you crank the drive knob or the input knob, the amount of the harmonics that are added changes. So it's not they have what's called non-linearity as you increase the signal input. So that way it changes based off of, the signal level. There's tons of different kinds of saturation out there. Again, saturation is kind of one of those things where it's like, guitar amp simulators, like they're coming out all the time with different, models of hardware, or they're doing a variation on a modeling hardware or something to give it a unique sound. But that's more or less kind of what I do. And then if I need any limiting, I'll put in a limiter after the saturation.
So yeah, so the EQ was the interesting part to me, right? Because most of the time when I'm doing like at least the vocal editing, like I'm at least EQing ahead of time because the compressor I'm going for kind of like consistent volume, right? And that's one of the things that when we talked about guitar tone, I was like, okay, this makes sense, right? Flipping that after the fact, right? Because I don't want to tone shape before I compress. I want to, change it after I've, done all of the modifying I need to do. But with vocals, like I'm always trying to get, I know we talked about like putting in some automation to increase volume too. I do most of that with compressor on my side, right? So I'll compress and try to like just make up what I can to at least get a decent waveform. And then I'll, put in a limiter after that. But all of the EQ that I'm doing to accommodate for the microphones and stuff like that is always before. So when I was approaching this, for like guitar, I'm like, okay, well, mic placement is another thing that I am not well versed in when we talk about amps, right? Because picking the head, got that dialed in, right? Kind of have that done. Picking a simulated cab, got that, kind of dialed in, kind of what I want. But now we're talking about like, okay, now I'm going to change the type of mic and move the mic around on the cabinet. And I'm like, oh my God, recording engineers, they earned all of their money, man. Like this is something that, again, rabbit hole that I know we're already going down. But once I got into the mic placement and how I found myself playing the same recorded snippet on loop over and over and over again just to see how I could get it to change. And then the other problem is, and I kind of want to ask you this as a follow-up question, is finding the right tone for the entire spectrum, right? Like, okay, cool, I found my decent, palm muter rhythmic chugging, right? I found that tone, but these leads are totally squashed and like they don't sing like at all. Like I need to brighten these. So it's like, okay, so now I got to go down that rabbit hole, and I got to make sure that I don't bleed too much into, my rhythmic chugging section. So, okay, so is there anything else you want to say about signal chain before I like transition over? I think this is a great like teaser for like future, music production, like things that we can talk about. Because this isn't something we normally do.
Right.
So anything else you want to say before we jump to the next follow-up question?
Just a couple things. There was something I'd like to add on the signal chain. Usually before the compressor and before, well, either before or after the gate. Usually do high and low pass filters. So that way there's any excess noise above and below that you don't need, you can cut that out before it hits the compressor. That way that the compressor's not detecting that in case that signal is like the loudest or like the peak in your signal initially.
Gotcha. When I heard noise gate, I was like, oh yeah, and high pass, low pass. I'm like, okay, we're good. But good to call out.
Yeah, and then just a quick, I guess, kind of teaser or like a quick rule of thumb when it comes to like microphone, like I'll say placement at least, because when you get into different microphones themselves, each one, they all have their different kind of character and flavor that when you listen to enough sources played through that microphone, you can be like, oh yeah, I understand this frequency curve now and why this is classic, SM57 or a U87, whatever. Like that takes a long time to be able to get to that point to recognize those changes. But if we're talking strictly about placement in front of the speaker, which is in front, like the guitar cab, right? If you're more towards the center of the speaker, what they call the cap, and you're as close as you can get, that's going to give you the most, like the highest frequencies, like the highest concentration of high frequencies. Like more or less everything else is going to be kind of like all the mids and lows. They're not going to be as prominent. The more you move from the cap outside to the outside of the speaker, so you're going toward what's called the cone, you're going to get more bass tones from that side and less high frequencies. And then if you also pull away from the speaker, you're going to get kind of like this high frequency sort of roll off, it very subtly, but you'll get more of the mids and lows coming through if you pull back farther. So that kind of gives you like a sort of X and Y or Z axis to kind of figure out, okay, if I know this is what I'm missing from my tone, I got these other directions I can work with to try and get some of that extra tone to come through just by moving the microphone.
Neat.
I hope that is concise enough.
If anything, it's verbose, but I think verbosity in this case is merited. So my follow-up question, I'm trying really hard not to ask follow-up questions to the follow-up question to the follow-up.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question is when you're talking about finding your tone, how do you go about that in terms of like what you're playing, right? Do you do it live? Do you do it like a pre-recorded segment of something you kind of like know? Do you have like a reference that you use of any sort when you're kind of fine-tuning these things?
It depends on I guess it depends on the type of tone I'm going for. I do spend a lot of time kind of researching, kind of like what you did with Tesseract, kind of like gear like that the bands that I'm listening to use and see how they achieve certain tones. That way, when I'm trying to come up with something or like I want to write or record something and like, oh, okay, this is the tone I'm going for, I have a vague idea of like the types of amps that they use, the types of microphones, placement, mixing techniques, things like that. So I already have like in my mind like how I'm going to approach that. So because I own an Axe Effects, it's really easy to kind of set that stuff up there. But again, if you're running, just direct using amp sims in your computer, it's still a very simple process. But yeah, I definitely know like a lot of my tone for guitar usually comes from like what do they call it? It's a MD421 microphone or something like that. I think it's what it's called. I know that kind of tone is used in a lot of metal for guitars, and depending on where you place it, and you can mix microphones too. That's like a whole other rabbit hole we can go down. But if we're looking just at one microphone, I usually like a MD421, usually around like the cap or like the cone, like halfway between the cap and the cone, not completely all the way out. But that's usually kind of like my starting point. And then if I'm not liking that, I may try using the same microphone, but just switching to a different position, or then switching to a different microphone in the same position to see how that changes.
So the question I kind of have is more based around like what are you playing in terms of this, right? So in terms of reference, what I'm thinking is like I said, I used to like pre-record, like a riff or a section, or like, okay, like I'm gonna play this riff, and then I'm gonna play back this riff and simulate it, different ways, right? This is because I'm doing it all in simulation in the DAW.
I see what you're saying. So like, how are you asking then? Like, how am I recording something first and looping it to get my tone, or am I building the tone before I record something?
Or are you just live playing and then changing knobs and then playing again?
I usually don't record anything until I have a tone built. That's just me.
Okay.
Because then, or at least like I've got a tone close enough to what I want that I can either change it with my regular sort of signal chain with compression, EQ, saturation, all that stuff, or what I usually do is I also record the DI at the same time in case I decide down the road, hey, there's some changes I want to make. I know what they need to be, but it's just going to be very subtle. But that needs to happen, before, like the amp or something, or it needs to happen in the amp or the cab or something. Then at least I have the DI for reference. I can go back and reamp.
Gotcha. So so this is where you and I are different in our approach, because like, I guess since I don't have the idea when I'm going in of exactly what I want, right? Rather than messing around on all these things, I'll record like a riff or like a lead, or I'll just record a couple things as DI and say, okay, this is reference track, and I'll put them on different tracks, and I'll say like, okay, rhythm, lead, solo, whatever you want to call it, right? And then I will mess with the simulation on each one of those tracks, right? Just on the DI itself until I get something that I kind of like, right? This is kind of like my cone like filter coming in, right? So
Yeah.
All right, I found all the easy stuff, and I can play it on loop, so it's pretty easy to just sit there and let it play, and then change some knobs and just keep hearing it. And then when I think I find something that I like, then I'll actually like live listen to it and play, right? Play it, listen to it back, play it a little more, listen to it back, or try to, with the latency, in mind, try to at least play.
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, like good headphones like these, if you can get your brain attuned to the delay, like it can work, but man, it's tough.
It is tough. I usually have, like, when I record with my Axe effects, I have like the outputs go to my speakers directly. That way that's, not latency. There's no latency there at all when I'm playing it. But then when I record it, I just don't have the monitoring on. So because I don't need it. Because I'm already doing that.
Right, exactly. So that's one of the things that I miss. I definitely wish at least had that. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Man. Is that it? Are we done?
You had another thing in wrap up, but I don't know. We went on that trail for a little while. I don't know if you just want to call it good there, and then we could talk about this at the end of the show. There we go. Ended.
I called it.
Nice.
Okay, so after show, not related to music production at all, right? Like just completely random topics here. I started playing a new video game.
I'm not surprised.
A really crappy video game.
Uh-oh, what's it called? So I can avoid it.
Well, it's fine. I'm gonna get like murdered for saying this, I feel like. It's called Luigi's Mansion 3.
Luigi's Mansion 3. Okay.
The Nintendo guys are gonna come after me.
I haven't played any of the Luigi's Mansion, so I don't know. What makes it crappy, in your opinion?
It's way too easy. And like there's a lot of hand holding in this game. It's a great game to play with the kids. Kids are all into it, right? Like it's pretty, but it's low action, right? So there's not a lot of stuff going on, right? It's got moderately placed like puzzles and, I guess kind of difficult puzzles, not super difficult, but they're there.
Yeah.
The characters, you can tell it's by a third-party studio. I know that Nintendo didn't really make this game; they licensed this game, but so you just know when it's lacking that polish, right? Like it just doesn't have the same feel that a Nintendo game should have, and that's how I feel about Luigi's Mansion 3. And I'm probably halfway through the game now, and I'm just dreading playing the rest of it, right? Because the difficulty curve like has spiked up once, and the controls are another thing that's just they don't even let you invert y-axis. Like, who doesn't let you invert, right?
Yeah, that makes me angry a lot in games.
Why
Even we can't do that. I
I
don't
feel
play
like
them if they don't let me.
it's an old man thing for sure, because all of the kids these days are just like, why would you do that? That makes no sense. Down is up. That's not, I'm like, have you ever flown an airplane? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever play Ace Combat, back in my day.
Exactly, man. I tell you, I feel like the old man. So because you can't flip the direction of the y-axis, I'm like, I'm always aiming the wrong way. I'm never aiming the right way. It's never going the way I want it to. And then just yeah, it's a bad game.
Oh, that's good. Well, now I know to avoid it.
Yeah, man, I really want you to have a Switch so we can play, multiplayer video games, but Luigi's Mansion is really, really bad.
There it is. Yes. Perfect.
Same wavelength, man. Same
Yes,
wavelength.
man. We're on it tonight.
Tonight, we on it every night.
I think tonight's been a much better night in terms of wavelength, syncness, constructive interference. That's the technical term.
Oh man.
Getting into
Okay.
physics now.
There we go. There we go. Physics.
Yeah, that was all I had for that. What else, bro? What's been going on?
Did I tell you I've been growing plants? I told you I've been growing plants, right?
Yes, last time. Yep, I see. Oh, well, that one back there has been there. You told me last week. I
Yes.
remember that much.
We've also been growing like an herb garden, right? Like,
Yeah.
Let me. I'll go get one of them.
Oh my goodness, he's gonna go get some herbs for us. See how these herbs look. All right, let's see what you got.
So I'm not like trying to brag or anything like this, but this is our little basil plant right now.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, it grew from seeds. So we
Nice.
planted it as seeds, and
Wait, those grow from seeds? It's a little blurry. Probably can't focus in on it. There you go. That's a little bit better. Nice, dude.
what are you trolling right now with the seed thing? Is that what, were you doing?
Yes, that was a joke.
Okay. I didn't see the finger, so I didn't know. Yeah, so I got a case of 60 of these little planter pots, right? And we planted enough seeds to basically put 3 of each herb in each one of these. So right now we have, what do we have? We have basil, cilantro, parsley. Those are the 3 that took from the first round. And we
Nice.
planted 4 of each.
Okay.
4 of each? Yeah, 4 of each. So we're keeping 1 for ourselves, and then we have 3 extras. And then we started another set of seedlings. So that one's got rosemary, lavender, peppermint, sage, and not cilantro, chives.
Chives. Okay. Very nice, dude. You're quite the botanist over there.
Let's just say that I found Zen garden stuff, right? Like I'm doing lots of Zen garden plant dad stuff.
Oh my goodness.
We just brought in this guy today. This nice little.
Oh, hey.
Little
Yeah, we
succulent
used.
here.
Yeah, my wife's godmother has a bunch of that, and before we moved to Wisconsin, at our place we were living at in North San Diego County, we had a succulent just like that from my wife's godmother's garden that she snipped for us, and that took off, quickly filled our front area at our place we were living at.
Yeah, man. So
Nice.
I'm surrounding myself in greenery.
Hey man, that's cool. I do need to get on that. I do have a few friends who are kind of doing this gardening thing now that we have a lot of extra time at home to do things. It's nice to have some plants around, give you some fresh air.
When you come up, man, I'll give you a couple, of the herbs that we have, because I'm sure I'll have a bunch by then. I have some
Nice.
clippings of a pothos, like a nice indoor plant I'll probably have ready by that time too. So
Nice.
yeah, wait a little bit. I might be able to hook you up. Is what I'm saying.
Sweet. Looking forward to it.
Santa Cruz are all about the greenery here, so
Yeah, that makes sense. But
Wait, I have that one. I have that one. Hold
Yeah,
on.
you do. I know. I thought you were going to do it.
Sorry, I looked away from the thing, and then
I'm glad the soundboard's
bad.
working.
so it's not totally awkward like it was last time.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
That was good. A fun time, let me tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. Doo-doo-doo.
What about you? I've told you all about
Um,
my greenery.
Yeah, yeah. So for anyone who's been paying attention to my wood burning stuff on social media, I finally finished that big Celtic knot picture frame. I don't know if I've shown you a picture yet, actually. Have you seen it? No? All right.
No.
It's right over here. One sec.
Away. It took too long.
That might
Whoa.
come forward.
So cool.
You can kind of see some of the detail.
You can see me. You can see me in the picture. Look, there's me.
Wait, I can't. I don't have the headphones on. One sec. Can't hear you. All right.
It's
Let's
a good
try that
moment.
again.
All
It is
I
a good
saw was
moment.
me in the reflection. It was great.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's like this one little knot right in the middle there.
Oh,
Wrong way.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, then this got this like repeating triangular pattern all the way around.
Crazy, man.
Yep. So I finished that up. That'll be heading off to its new home. Probably this. I don't think it's this weekend. I have to. So this is for my grandma, and my dad is delivering it to her. So I'm delivering it to my dad this weekend, but I have no idea when he's getting it to my grandma. So
Nice.
it'll be out of my hands at that point. My job is done.
Hey,
pretty
callback,
much.
right? Like,
Yep.
done. Vegas
Pretty
style.
much. Pretty much. And what else have I been doing? Trying to get some projects lined up to kind of test how long it's going to take me. So that way I can know how to price them. So that way I can sell them on an Etsy store. So I'm trying to open up an Etsy shop. But I need to know like how to price things. So in order to do that, part of it's like, well, how long is this actually going to take me to do? So I'm trying to do projects where I have a template that I can just trace it out really quick and then burn right away, finish, and then go. So it's for the most part streamlined. So I've been doing a lot of testing with that kind of stuff this week.
Like $1 an hour.
Pretty much. I would hope to earn more than $1 an hour because my bills dictate that I need to.
I was gonna say that's what the whole pricing phase is about, right?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure it's going to be like worth it for the customer, but worth it for me as well. So we're getting there. It just takes some time to get it all down.
I see you wearing a little bit of your art there, yeah?
Oh yes, right here. So yeah. I don't know if we can see it and I can talk at the same time. Yeah, that kind of
Yes.
works. All right, so I do make these little pendants here. This is on a birch tree round, so from a birch tree. This little bind rune here is of my own design. I took a few different runes in the Elder Futhark, which is the Old Norse alphabet, and put them together in the old ways that Vikings used to do. And depending on the runes you use, because each rune has its own kind of meaning, will kind of all give its own new meaning when they're all kind of put together in that way. So this kind of signifies mine and my wife's relationship, and I made a matching one for her too.
Oh nice.
Yeah, so I can be sentimental. I have feelings. I'm not
know,
just this
Steve.
angry
We
black
know.
metalhead. We know.
The power metal gave it away. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, man, I've got way more feelings. I mean, look at my most consumed metal. If anyone's gonna throw the feelings ball around, it's definitely this guy.
It's cool, man. Man, metal's all about feeling though, but it's more like channeling those feelings, right? Well, I guess that's all music, not just metal, but
Yeah. Can I play the rap music now for the after show? Can I?
yes, you can play the rap music.
Jeez.
Having withdrawals over there,
I
dude.
was waiting so long to play the dang rap music. Oh man.
Once you're done with that, I do have some other stuff we can talk about.
Sweet.
All right, who is this artist?
It's Run the Jewels.
Oh, yeah, I should have known since you just talked about them. See, this is a genre that I'm like pushing myself to get into now. Like, I've listened to more, I think, rap this week than I have probably ever.
A long time.
Yeah. There was like around 2018, I was listening to a lot of like Public Enemy just to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit. That was like the first band that I thought of kind of diving into. But I kind of came back to metal after I was listening to a lot of their stuff. And just kind of been here again ever since.
Yeah, Run the Jewels. I heard their Tiny Desk concert at NPR. Like NPR used to do like a Tiny Desk concert, like, and they were there. And they killed it at their Tiny Desk concert, and not what I would expect, you know, like for people playing at NPR, right? But they killed it, and I listened to their album, and they had, you know, I think 2 at the time, and 3 was just coming out, and I was like, oh, this is epic, so good. And then when you listen to like Killer Mike in interviews and stuff like that guy's like profound. Like he's actually like a pretty like really good like intellectual, like got some pretty good pictures of him with like, you know, presidential candidates and like, you know, just enlightening people about like, hey, this is how life is. Like, cool guy, really just solid dude.
I think like it shows that like music can be so many different things, right? Like it's not just about the music and the sounds. Like I think we as metalheads tend to get caught up in like the specific sounds that we're hearing, not necessarily the content within the sounds always, right? Whereas like rap and hip hop, like because I've been listening to it more and more, it's like, oh my gosh, now I can see why so many people are into this. Like there's a message here and it's loud and clear. Like messages in metal like tend to get obscured by everything else that we're hearing. And now I see why, like, when other people listen to music, like, they couldn't care less, you know, what type of, you know, guitar amp was used for this one thing. Like, if they want a guitar sound, they just get a guitar sound, and there you go. They're happy with it. You move on, because it's not about the sound. It's about the message that you put into it. And I think that's super cool.
I think it's fun to see, like, these groups that are their own producers, too. Like, they make the beats and then they rap on top of the beats, right? Like, I think that's why I know he's a controversial figure, but like that's why tons of people love Kanye West, right? Is because he does the gamut, right? And it's not just about the rap for him; it's also about the beats, and it's about the feel of the song, right? And to your point, right? Like a lot of people are like, cool, like loop that, whatever, I'm done, right? I'll put my track on it and I'll get my message out there. And other people are still like, hey, I want to get my message out there, and then also still produce like this quality song, right? I want the beats to be this. So it's Run the Jewels is where I found out, like, again, Wikipedia rabbit holes, you're like, okay, I like.
Gotcha. Nice. All right, so a couple other things I want to talk about. I said before, I think it was like during our resolutions, that I wanted to release something music related this year. Yeah. So my band that I'm in with my buddies in Wisconsin, we just finished the writing phase of our EP, and as of this past Wednesday, we officially started like our pre-production. So we're going through sample libraries to see, you know, what kinds of sounds are going to be good for what we've written. So now we're basically once a week getting together over Discord to kind of get all of our tones together, and we're going to start the recording process pretty soon. So maybe by the end of the year we can have something. Dang it, you didn't tell me you were taking a snapshot.
Because I wanted the natural reaction.
Let me see. Oh, wrong mouse.
That's awesome.
Oh my
dude.
gosh, my face. My face. Oh, that's good. That's good. Um, yes.
Super cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be super rad. Some of the stuff we've been kind of shopping around for tones, as far as that goes, it's this the other day. It's going to sound really, really good. I'm going to make sure it's going to be mixed and mastered really well, so that way we can really kind of top ourselves from our last release.
Nice.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into my next thing is that this does require in one song to have a guitar tuned to D standard. So that means I had to go do some string shopping because I only have strings for like standard tunings, like regular E standard. So Ernie Ball has come out with a lot of different strings, like with heavier gauges in the past few years that I had only kind of seen in passing, but never really dug into them a lot. But now that I'm tuning lower, I've got a lot more options to work with. So I just picked up these Ernie Ball Ultra Slinkies. I don't know if you've used these ones before.
You know, do they keep the packaging colors the same? Because Ernie Ball, I only know the colors. Like the gauges of strings escape me.
Yeah, okay. So each set has their own unique color. That is correct. This one, it's like a silvery with like maybe like a tinge of like purple and gray. It's hard to tell because I'm freaking colorblind, but
see, that was the thing is when they called them like Ultra Slinky and Hybrid Slinky and Mega Slinky and regular Slinky and Fat Slinky. And sorry guys, I only remember
the
colors because
okay,
I'm not
so
colorblind, I guess.
Yeah. So this is not quite skinny top heavy bottoms, but it's not quite a regular set of tens either. It's somewhere in between. So you still have the tens on the high three strings. On the lower three strings, they're not as heavy as, say, a set of 12s. So I think they might be like what they would be on a set of 11s. So it's like a 10-11 combo.
That's much nicer than
yeah, because I love
of the day.
Yeah, skinny top heavy bottoms, like they can be fine if you're just doing your bar chords or if you're just doing leads. But if you want to do any sort of chords in between and the middle strings, like that was such a pain. I did not like that jump.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough transition, right? It was like, oh, this isn't bad. Oh, geez, what's this?
Yeah, I read a lot of reviews on some different string packs, and the reviews I read about this one just kind of caught my eye. Is that like if you're going to be tuning down, but you're looking for something better as far as like that, gauge transition between the heavy and light strings, then this is going to fill that void. So we shall see how those work out. I've got to do a thorough cleaning on one of my guitars to get these on before I get these on there, and then I've got to reset it all, like adjust the bridge and intonate it and everything. So that'll be fun, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, it's always worth it.
Yes. What else? Have you seen that Unleash the Archers release a little teaser?
No.
I think it was only yesterday or today. So it was very recently.
Okay. On the YouTube?
I saw it on Facebook and Instagram, and they might have it on their YouTube channel. They're pretty active on most social media platforms.
Let's see if we can find it. 9 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 years ago. No.
Well, maybe they're not so active on YouTube.
Oh, man.
Give me a sec. Let me see if I can find it.
You know me, I'm not on the social medias.
You're on Twitter, right?
Yes, I'm on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the one platform I don't do.
Well, see, between both of us, we got it covered.
Yeah. I'm going to their Facebook right now. I'll send you a link.
Space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so ready for the weekend, man.
Yeah. Copy link, and we're going to go chat, and we're going to go paste, and we're going to send it. I'll throw it Can I throw it in?
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. In the what? It says, okay, artwork and title track teaser revealed.
Yeah, but it's a video.
I clicked the video. Oh, there it is. What? No way. Where did they get all of the futuristic synth sounds?
I don't know. I think they were saying something like they got super inspired to do more like video game oriented kind of metal.
Okay, so they have a track listing too. So Waking Dream, Abyss, Through Stars, Legacy, Return to Me, Soundbound, Soulbound. No! Why you tease that?
That's the tease.
Dang it. That was messed up. Soulbound, Faster Than Light, which is a video game. The Wind That Shapes the Land, Carry the Flame, Afterlife. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, buddy.
This is so like futuristic-esque. This is so
I know.
different from what's the album called?
Apex.
Apex, yeah. I was gonna say Matriarch, but no, that's the song that I saw the guitar
That's the
playthrough on
song.
YouTube.
I love what they're doing, man. Like, I can't wait till concerts come back and they make their way through Southern California, because this is probably gonna be one of the first bands that I want to see live, because they're like, album wise, like they just keep getting better and better, and I need to see them live while they're ascending. I don't want to have to wait till they crest and then
Apex.
start falling. Apex.
But they already.
I don't think they've reached their apex yet. They may have, like, compared to their previous albums when doing Apex, but now I think they're like going beyond Apex.
Oh, so they're like going Super Saiyan 3, like Goku.
Yeah.
This is what it
Yeah.
means to go even further beyond. You don't watch anime. You don't know what I'm talking about.
I know enough of Dragon Ball Z to know that.
You know that whole thing where he does the Super Saiyan 3 thing? Yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that. But I never watched like much of. You're right. I
Older
haven't
episodes?
watched much
Yeah,
anime.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I've watched like bits of episodes, and like I've caught enough from everything to know like what's happening, and who's who. But yeah.
Which one is Yamcha?
Oh, Yamcha. Is that the bald guy's Krillin, right?
There's two bald guys. Which one are you talking about?
I think I'm thinking of Krillin. He's bald. He's like in the orange suit, kind of like Goku.
Yeah, that's Krillin.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know exactly who Yamcha is.
Yamcha is the most powerful character in all of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z. Okay.
He has the highest power level out of any of them.
Well, gonna look this one up.
Like he's stronger than Goku and Vegeta, even stronger than their fused forms combined. Like he's stronger than everybody.
Okay. Still an orange suit, but he kind of almost looks like Goku a little bit. And
He's
stuff
stronger.
before, because he has short and long hair. I guess.
Well, yeah, it
depending on
depends on
the time.
it depends on yep.
Dang.
He's the strongest character. Best character too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone asks you about Dragon Ball Z, like you tell them Yamcha is the best.
Yamcha is the best. That's the password. Oh, that's funny.
Yamcha's actually the worst character. He's the weakest. He dies all the time, and he's so stupid.
Yamcha.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Oh, you trolled me that whole time.
Well, yeah, the
You
whole
had me
time.
going.
The whole time.
Everyone, you did good. See,
I got it.
That's a.
Yeah, and I got a clip now, so it's clipped. It's there forever. So I have you saying.
Oh
Yamcha
my
is
gosh!
the
How
best.
long have you been planning that?
How long?
Like 5 minutes.
About no, only a tenth of a metal song or a doom metal song.
Doom metal song. Okay.
Tenth of one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, that just proved to everyone. Yeah, I don't really watch anime.
I just proved to everyone that I totally watch anime.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, no, I don't judge.
I kind of wish I got more into anime when I was younger, but I think it was kind of like an access thing. I didn't really have like access to a lot of different animes.
Also, the animes that you were exposed to were like the dark side of anime, like the side of anime that you.
No, okay, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about.
Just saying, like, you know, if I was trying to introduce someone to anime, that's definitely not the route that I would go. Right? That's like,
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't do that either, but that's what I was exposed to by someone else.
I'm saying is that it's not your fault, right? Like it's
Oh boy.
okay, you know.
Yeah. I did try getting into like Mobile Suit Gundam a while back. Just never really followed through with a lot of it. I like the concept though.
With okay, so which one? Because there's so many Mobile Suit Gundams. Did you watch Gundam Seed, Mobile Suit Gundam?
Yeah, so Mobile Suit Gundam and Gundam Seed were the two. Because I think there's more than two, right? There's like a few of them.
There's tons of them.
Yeah.
Mobile Suit Gundam with Hero and I forget all the other characters. Like, but they have all the really cool Gundams. In my super before I was married, well, maybe shortly after I got married, midlife crisis, right? So quarter life crisis, quarter life crisis. I had in my Amazon wish list an anime, well, not anime, but a figurine of a Mobile Suit Gundam, like a model, like that I was gonna, put together and put on display on my desk or whatever.
I mean, they look freaking cool, but like, we're adults and it sucks sometimes.
Yeah, man. So now on my desk, I have these cool sharks that I painted as ceramics with kids.
I mean, that means a little bit more, I think.
I don't know. It's just a shark.
I don't know.
I mean,
that Mobile Suit Gundam. I mean, come on.
I mean, Gundam Wing Zero, pretty iconic design. Oh, yeah. You remember when I was telling you about all my horrible experiences with that one anime that I was watching that everyone really likes?
I think so. You can refresh my memory though.
Okay, so I watched I forget the name. Neon Genesis Evangelion. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've heard of it.
So Evangelion, it was what I thought was going to be a show about mechs and people, turned out to just be a show about coming of age and dealing with depression and stuff like that, which is fine. Just not what I signed up for when I chose to watch my anime.
Yeah.
And the level of introspection and depth that went into in its final episode just totally pissed me off and it just did not ring to me at all. Like I did not get it. And it's funny because today I listened to my Discover Weekly playlist and they had the song come on and it was a metal cover of the theme song to Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I about lost it. What is happening right now? Dislike, thumbs down, never recommend this to me again.
Oh my gosh.
No.
That's good.
No. Let's see if I can
boy.
find it. Oh man. So bad. I hated it so much.
Some covers don't need to be made.
And because it's like a newish music, right? Like people are always, hey, let's do this. And, oh God, here it is. I found it. But it's like, yeah,
I feel like maybe Nightwish could have done like a decent cover of this, and like they would have been the band to do it, or Epica,
yeah, for sure.
but
So
not that vocalist for sure.
this is the song that came right before it. If we're gonna go on my playlist now, this is the song that came before it.
Wait, is this Epica?
No,
Or- Who is this?
it's this band called Against Myself.
Against Myself. Okay. But that's really funny that it's like we got female vocals, almost sounds just like Epica or Nightwish.
I did the second take when I was like, what?
Okay, yeah, I can kind of hear the difference in the vocals now. It's hard through Skype.
Oh yeah, you got the Skype filter on. So I don't blame you for anything,
Yeah.
right?
There we go. We got the choir in there now. We're good.
And I was like, why? So I was on already kind of like the high from that, and I was like, okay, I like this may be pretty good. And it did that to me the next track, and I was like, oh, come on, what's?
Oh yeah.
You've had really good luck with playlists. My luck with playlists has been lackluster.
Yeah, I haven't gone through my Discover Weekly playlist this week. I've just been diving into a bunch of new music outside of metal. So
Yeah, man. Now your Discover Weekly is going to be like, we got a lot for you to discover. There's so much for you to discover.
Yeah, but you should definitely check out some more Body Count now that you know about them.
Ah,
They're an awesome band. I love them. They do a cover of Ace of Spades by Motorhead. They do one metal cover each album. They've covered Raining Blood by Slayer.
yeah, I don't care about that.
Yeah. Who else did they cover? I always forget.
They covered any Megadeth songs? So, I mean, we already trashed Slayer now, so there's only one more.
Let's see.
The Big Four bingo.
Let's see. No, so that was that. Oh yeah, they did Suicidal Tendencies Institutionalized. And they changed up the lyrics on it, and it's really funny, just to kind of be more up to with the modern times. What else did they do? I don't know which one of these on their other album is a cover, actually.
I'm gonna flex on
anyway.
you, Steve. I'm gonna flex on you.
Okay. Oh, come on, dude.
I have to stand up. It's been too long.
I've been thinking about maybe getting one of those desks and telling my brother to not make me that desk.
So the thing is like you can still have him make the top and everything, and just put it on the frames. Like they sell just the frames, so you could buy the legs, right? Like just the metal legs and the motors and the control thing, and then still put like a top on it.
Ooh, that's a possibility. Okay, I may have to look into that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because then it's super nice too, right? Because then, like you said, you can still just take off the top, right, from the base. Especially if your brother's getting into it and he wants to like put in like actual like nuts, like I don't know what the exact technical term for those is, right? But that's what this is, right? It's just I got a bamboo top, so I got a bamboo like curved top, and then a shelf extension that the computer sits on, and then it's all just bolted into the legs. That's it. And there's a control mechanism and a bottle opener.
Oh, man, you're making me jelly.
Okay, it's okay. You could still have your brother make you something like really cool, because there's a lot about this top that I wish I could customize. I can't.
Yeah. I'm still trying to think of like a good way to be able to get my MIDI keyboard, my laptop, and my desktop computer monitor all to sit in here like in a sort of compact way that, you know, doesn't take up a ton of space. But that's hard to do.
For sure, man. For sure.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about, or shall we call it for the post or the after show?
I think we can call it for the after show. I think we're good.
Cool. Anyone who tuned in, thanks for doing so, and you all have a good night. There it is.